Is Chelsea going to be working?
She's coming. There's so much construction between.
My mouse works one minute.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the PCOE USD joint board meeting. I call the meeting to order and start off with our flag salute, and I'd like to invite you to move forward.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to
the United States of America and to the republic.
Thank you.
Roll call. Connie. Here. Edwin. Here. Hanson. Here. Keller.
Here.
Reed. Here.
Thank you. No changes on the agenda that we have to observe or anything. We're good. Good. Seek the approval of the agenda for this meeting.
I'll move to approve. Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next up, we're going to honor our retirees.
All right, so we've got a number of folks here to represent and recognize some retirees. I have the first group, and then I will pass it off and then come back for CRC, or just want to read CRC right after. Yeah, I'll just do all mine and then I'll pass it off to Rachel for there. First, the superintendent, it's when you have a celebration like this, you look at all the names on this, it's a lot of experience that's leaving our district. They've touched the lives of thousands of kids, and we appreciate their service. We appreciate what they've given to the community, to the schools, and they say that it only takes one person in child's education to change their life, and I'm sure that there are lots of kids that look at all of these folks, both classified and certificated, as someone who might have touched their life. So just want to say thank you for that. And then I'm going to start off Thomas Bickle, or Dan, as everyone knows him, just from Scott Corey. You're okay. I just so Dan gave heart and soul to the staff and students at Chester Elementary School. He's an employee that went above and beyond every single day. His true joy was the students, and they loved having him on campus. He is already missed, and the entire staff wishes him the best in retirement and a full recovery. Thank you for everything you've done for Chester L, Dan. And that's from Scott Corey, the principal. Who's here today? Where am I? We only have a couple. Okay, so I don't have anyone here on my list. I just need to make sure. Okay, then I have Millie Mahaffey, Chester Junior Senior High School. So these are words from David and Tracy. It is with immense gratitude and admiration that we celebrate the retirement of Millie Mahaffey from Chester High School after years of unwavering dedication and service. Your journey, which began as a clerk and culminated as a teacher, has been nothing short of inspirational. You first joined us as a clerk, and it was evident that you brought with you not just skills, but an unwavering commitment to excellence. Your attention to detail and organization ensured that our administrative machinery ran smoothly, paving the way for a more efficient and vibrant learning environment. As an instructional aide, you demonstrated that your talents were not limited to paperwork alone. Your knack for connecting with students and helping them grasp complex ideas was remarkable. It was during this time that we saw how deeply you cared about the academic success and well-being of every student. Your innovative approaches to instruction and support were invaluable and fostered a dynamic and engaging learning environment. We also want to recognize and thank you for the number of times that you stepped in as a substitute teacher. This role often goes unnoticed, but your adaptability and expertise in various subjects were instrumental in ensuring that the students' learning never came to a standstill. You proved time and time again that you were a reliable and versatile member of our learning community. When you took on the mantle of a full-time teacher, it was clear that you had found your true calling. The classroom became a sanctuary for many students, where they were not only educated, but also motivated and encouraged to reach their full potential. Your passion for teaching was infectious, and your ability to foster curiosity and creativity in your students was unparalleled. Your dedication to shaping young minds and preparing them for the future will have a lasting impact on countless lives. At the end of this new chapter of your life, we want you to know that your service to Chester High School has left an indelible mark. Your legacy will be remembered by all those who had the good fortune of working alongside you or being nurtured by your tutelage. On behalf of the entire community, we extend our heartfelt thanks for many years of service and wish you a fulfilling and joyous retirement. So that is to Millie Mahaffey, courtesy of David Andresen, principal. And we have Sean Mahaffey. Today, we gather here to celebrate an extraordinary milestone in the life and career of one of Chester High School's most beloved educators. It is great admiration and a tinge of bittersweet emotion that we bid farewell to Mr. Sean Mahaffey, who is retiring after nearly 3 decades of dedicated service as a teacher at Chester Junior Senior High School. As we reflect on the impact Mr. Mahaffey has had on this school, we can't help but to be filled with a profound sense of gratitude. The exceptional individual has been a guiding light, a beacon of knowledge, and a source of inspiration for generations of volcanoes who have walked these halls. Through his unwavering commitment, passion, and tireless efforts, they have left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all who had the privilege of learning from him. In the classroom, Mr. Mahaffey was more than a teacher. He was a mentor, a friend, and a confidant with patience, wisdom, and genuine care. He fostered an environment that nurtured intellectual curiosity, encouraged critical thinking, and instilled a lifelong love of learning. Beyond his exceptional teaching abilities, Mr. Mahaffey was an integral part of our school's fabric. He poured his heart and soul into extracurricular activities and organizing events, all with the aim of fostering a sense of community and camaraderie among the students. But Mr. Mahaffey's contributions extended far beyond the walls of the school. He was an advocate for education, a champion for change, and a pillar of the community. His leadership, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to his craft have not only shaped the minds of countless students, but have left an imprint on the educational landscape of our district. On behalf of every student whose life he has enriched, every colleague whose path he's illuminated, and every community member whose heart he has touched, we extend our deepest gratitude and congratulations to Mr. Mahaffey and wish him the best of luck in his retirement. Okay, so that's our Chester crew. And then I'm reading on behalf of Ms. Brockman. So first, we're honoring Denise Katakamo, who's worked with Plymouth Unified School District for 6 years as a special education teacher. She retired in June of 2023 from Greenville Schools, where she served as a resource teacher for both the elementary and the junior senior high school. In addition to teaching, Denise facilitated IEPs, coordinated IEP services, and collaborated with families and staff. In her personal time, she trained her Mustang horses with the hope that she could use them as a means to provide equine therapy to special needs children in our community. Denise has a deep love for her students and cares about their ongoing success at school and in the community. She provides encouragement, clear boundaries, and supportive instruction. Students respect and love her. They will often cite her as someone whose positive influence is very important to their lives. She will be missed by students and staff, but we know that she's going to continue to do important work with kids during her retirement adventures in Colorado. We wish Ms. Katakamo a wonderful retirement and thank her for her service. And then now also from Ms. Brockman, I have Marcy Hutchinson, who's worked in nutrition services for over 31 years with Plymouth Unified. She retired from managing the cafeteria at Greenville Schools in April of 2023. During her time of employment with the district, she not only served up warm meals for her students with a smile, but she also provided them with encouragement and personal connection. Marcy is a friendly and genuine person. She is loved by both staff and students. During her retirement, she plans to travel with her husband and enjoy time in Michigan with her grandchildren and family. She will be missed at Greenville Schools, and we wish her all the best of luck. 2 more. Where is okay. Now from Miss Leal and staff at CRC, we have 2 certificated staff members. First is Lori Conte. Ms. Conte is retiring from CRC after 27 years of service. I've had the pleasure of working with her for 13 of those years, and to say she has enriched my life is an understatement. Lori Conte is the strongest, most brave human that I know. She has the biggest heart and gave 100% to her students and our staff every day. Our team purchased a peach tree to honor her incredible career. The tree is already producing, and our students will enjoy fresh peaches in the garden at summer school. We love you, Ms. Conte, and we cannot wait to hear about your retirement adventures. And then last, for me, we have Mark Womack. Mark Womack, and this is from Ms. Sheridan, started his career at Fort Hall High School in 1995. From pre-algebra to AP calculus, Mr. Womack has taught every math course on our campus over his 28-year career. Mark was known for his rigorous classes, and he taught all of them with a passion for mathematics that was unmatched. He inspired his students to think critically and work hard every day. Shelley Callahan, Mr. Womack's fellow math teacher, colleague at PHS, had this to say: Mark not only taught students math, but he taught them to be problem solvers. He was a firm believer that anyone could solve problems, and thereby opening the door to mathematics. He also helped students realize that anything is possible. From working with the Hadron Collider in France to pursuing careers in engineering, he was a true inspiration to his students. Our entire school community is going to miss Mr. Womack, and we wish him the very best in his retirement. With that, I'm going to pass this on to Ms. Mulsey.
Perfect, thank you. So I would like to start with Nancy Site, who is here. It has been my honor to work alongside Nancy Site for the past 2 years. She has an incredible love for her students, coworkers, and our community. For the past 35 years, Nancy taught kindergarten, first, second, fourth, and fifth grades, and intervention teaching, our intervention teacher, mainly at Quincy Elementary. Her favorite grade level is first grade because she loves teaching students how to read. Nancy feels blessed and fortunate to have taught over 800 students in Plymouth County. Her 2 children attending Quincy schools K through 12th grade. Justin graduated from UNR and he is currently working in Reno as a mechanical engineer. Allison is completing her final year at law school at UC Berkeley. Nancy, as you enter into retirement, may it be filled with continued joy and fulfillment, and thank you for making the lasting difference with so many children. So my next one is Laura Blessy, who has informed me that she is enjoying retirement on the next to the pool. I've had the privilege of working with Laura for the last 2 years at Pioneer Elementary. Her leadership and sense of humor have been a gift to Pioneer and our district. Laura has worked with our district for the past 26 years in multiple capacities. She has been a teacher, administrator, and self director. Thank you, Laura, for changing so many lives one day at a time, and we wish you the best. Helen Lemna, so the next 2 I'm going to read for Laura Hollister, who is the principal at Alden. Helen Lemna is a creative powerhouse. She's like the Miss Frizzle of Quincy Elementary, bringing an infectious excitement for life and learning to her students. From math and literature to art, Helen's teaching is full of energy and innovation, and those epic field trips, unforgettable. Most recently, Helen immersed herself in teaching and learning the arts integration and becoming the art teacher of our communities. We are so grateful for the arts program she was able to build at GUS. But that's not all. Helen has another superpower: rallying people together to accomplish amazing things for kids. Whenever there's a task at hand, she's effortlessly gathers and dedicated an army of volunteers who are ready to jump in and lend a hand. Her ability to mobilize people is truly impressive. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for her unwavering dedication to education and profound impact she has had on countless lives, students' lives. Quincy Elementary won't be the same without her, but I know she's destined for an exciting and fulfilling retirement. Wishing you all the best, Helen, as you embark on this new chapter of your life. Thank you for being an inspiration to us all. And our final one I would like to read is Charlotte Satterfield, and she was our librarian at both Alder and Pioneer. Charlotte Satterfield is a true legend, a librarian. She has been a creative force, finding ways to bring learning and literature to our students, even during tough times of budget cuts and pandemic. She's seen it all and never faltered, even when faced with ideas like leaving the library, quote unquote, and ditching the card catalog. Charlotte is an icon among school librarians. She's touched countless students through her work in both Greenville and Quincy libraries, as well as through tutoring Native students. Thank you, Charlotte, for your incredible dedication and impact. Enjoy your well-deserved retirement.
Janet Radke, it is my pleasure and privilege to speak tonight about your retirement and to honor your 15 years of service as our registrar. Not only were you meticulous and record keeping from queue files to transcripts to attendance, but your love for Quincy Junior High School students and staff is immense, and it's very evident by her participation in our Hoopla videos. Every year they make class videos. Once in a while we see a cameo from Janet in those. To coming down to the courthouse every year and announcing our red carpet, what a special event that is. And our talking about our favorite memories and endeavors for our seniors at graduation. So while our time together was short, it was a year and a half. Very evident to me early on that you would be greatly missed if this time came. So you've got big shoes to fill. We know we have big shoes to fill with you. And while you will be missed, we're very happy for your next endeavor. And for you and me, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So with this sincerest gratitude, thank you for your 15 years of service. For other retirees not here this evening, but hopefully she's watching online or her family. That is Patty Brackett, but better known on our campus as Miss Patty. Anybody who's been on our campus will recognize her immediately. She's kind, she's caring. She cares not only about her students, she's one of our special education paraeducators, not only about her students that she works directly with, but with those around her. And she's always stepping in down the hallways and in every classroom in our office, checking on both the adults and the students on campus. So she's been with us for overall 20 years, and we wish her nothing but the best in her retirement and for her in the auto.
Great. So this evening I am proud to speak about 3 educators, none of them here, so I'll keep mine short, but I want to start with Brad Miller, who's retiring from USD as our adult education teacher. I first met Brad though when I was principal at Portola High School, and many people know him as a longtime educator at Portola High School in PE, as well as the sciences, really known for his work in starting our fire science program there as well, and continuing after that to the adult ed world. I chose 3 words to describe each of my 3 retirees tonight. And so for Brad, I just appreciate all of his energy, so energetic, humorous. If you know Brad, he is very funny, sarcastic, and just always laughing or finding a joke, as well as athletic. We also see Brad Miller out on the football field being an official for basketball games. We see him all over the county and around in our state for that, and we'll miss him. That will hopefully he'll stay doing the officiating. So anyway, energetic, humorous, and athletic for Brad Miller. Karen Miller joined at about the same time in 1991. I first met Karen as well at Portola High School as an English teacher, AP English, but have done all the different levels of English. She's ending her career after 5 years with adult ed, and both Brad and Karen have really done an amazing job establishing our adult education program around our county. And she will continue most likely to serve as an EL teacher, so we may see her doing that as well. For Karen, I chose passionate, influential, and artistic, all 3 words to describe her. And lastly, I'm honored to speak to Susan Frediani, who's retiring from us as an instructional coach, joined PUSD in 1989. So our second most veteran teacher right behind the side. But Susan is just really legendary here in PUSD as an instructional coach and as an English teacher around our district in many schools, you know, hundreds of lives of students. She's really well known in the college board world and travels back to New York City multiple times per year to consult on the English vertical team. And so we've been very lucky to have her knowledge and advocacy, even when she brought Trevor Packard here, who's head of college board, to visit a rural community to really advocate for what does AP look like in our small rural schools. So she will continue to do that in her retirement. She's actually training right now, as she does most every summer, new teachers with AP. So Ms. Frediani, experienced, inspirational, and dedicated. So, miss all three of those teachers.
So Ray, you've been in the school bus driver here for right around 30 years. Ray approached me maybe 6 months ago and asked me, Kyle, what would be easier for you? And what is going to least impact the students on the bus if I retire in December, at the end of December, or the end of the school year? And that just kind of shows the kind of person that Ray was. Even to the very bitter end, he was putting students first. He did not want them to be affected by his retirement because he knows that we have a hard time getting bus drivers. So for him, it was all about the kids and making sure that they all have a ride to school every single day. He's been doing it, like I said, for about 30 years. And between driving kids to school and the sporting trips that he's done, as well as being my school bus driver, I'd be very surprised if there's anyone here tonight that doesn't know who Ray is and just have an idea of the kind of person that he is. He's probably one of the most humble people I've ever met. He's taught me so many life lessons from riding the bus. I was the last stop, so. It's been a long time. From the age of probably 10 years old up into through junior high school. So, I'd go up to the front of the bus, I'd sit with them and boom, baseball. That's what we talked about. It was baseball from the time I sat there till the time I got off the bus. To this day, baseball. So, he obviously loves sports. He has offered so many times to take students on the bus to sporting events for free. He didn't even want to charge it. He didn't want to charge the district because he'd rather see that the kids got there than just, not have a bus at all. So I am so glad to see that Ray is retiring. I know that he's excited. Like I said, this is probably the 6th year he's come to me, or 5th year he's come to me and approached me and said, what's going to be easiest? When is going to be the best time for him to leave? And every year, it's kind of been a surprise to me that he's actually doing it this year. But every year, you come back in the middle of summer, I don't think this is the year yet. So it's like, okay, thank you, Ray, I appreciate it. But I'm just glad to see him and Nancy, his wife Nancy, can go travel. They have their, their camper, their cab over camper on their truck, and they're gonna spend a lot of time. And Ray wants to come back and be a substitute bus driver, so. And I'm just really happy for Ray, so I wish he was here tonight, but thank you, Ray.
Board comments? Would you like to add?
I know for me, when you were sharing about Mr. Mahaffey, I'm the same as you, where Mr. Mahaffey was my teacher, my math teacher, and he got me to actually get through to study for the SAT. He took time out of his after school time to tutor me for a couple of months, not just a couple of times, a couple of months. So I'm also one of those that have a teacher who is just now retiring. So I just really appreciate all the time that all of our educators have taken, because I was starting to calculate down. I'm seeing 30 down the way, that obviously this is somewhere that our educators enjoy being. And I appreciate that being a part of the system since I was from the beginning as well. So again, thank you, everyone.
I just want to say thank you to all the retirees too. I know they've shaped the lives. Some of them have shaped the lives of my children. Personally, I remember my son, when he was in kindergarten or 1st grade, was like, I want Mrs. Sight. I want Mrs. Sight. It's insistent that he get Mrs. Sight. And Susan Frediani, huge impact on my kids as well. And Ray, and everybody knows, everybody's ridden with Ray. Right? My kids always talk about Ray. So just great depth that we've had in this district with such strong educators and also classified staff. And I just really appreciate it.
I just want to highlight again the years of experience. It's sad in a lot of ways that those of us that still have kids in the district and that will still be going to work every day are losing that layer of experience and maturity. that's something to really to be proud of, that we have some really dedicated people who stay here a long time and kind of are the touchstone for the newbies coming in. But I'm just really proud of that. I love the fact that we can say that to even the new teachers coming in, and how long and how dedicated the staff is. And when we get a team, when we all get working together, how amazing it is and the things that can happen. So just thank you so much. Thank you for your dedication and your loyalty, and again, for the lives that you've touched. I know we all can think of that teacher that made a difference in our lives, and each one of my sons could say the same thing. And we're losing a big chunk of them in retirement, and I hope the retirements are wonderful and everything they bring.
So it's almost last, take it out. Everything revealed it, but thank you for your.
Yeah, I think about all the folks who are retiring this year. Someone who might not very right away. Yeah, push with the company, now learn a lot from him, just how to treat teenage boys. Which is, you know, sometimes can be a challenge, but he taught a lot of lessons that way. But I think about all the students who either they're taught by these folks or somehow they're actually with them in another way. And I think I'm thinking about when you kids specifically, you know, some have become doctors, some have become scientists, musicians, they've served in the armed forces, firefighters, they've been law enforcement, they've been coaches, they've been EMTs, teachers now, some of them. And of course, some of them have been like parents. Probably, and I like to think that in addition to picking up something in their own parents, they also learn how to plan from their teachers. Yeah, I think we're going to take a brief recess here. There's the pressures in the back, and be back with you next. So now we come to public input. I want to explain how this works. What I understand, most people already know. Here are kind of the rules, or they are the rules that we try to follow. What's not on here is the board does not respond to the comments that are sort of during public comment. That's because it's technically something called the Brown Act, or public meetings act, where it's not on the agenda, the board is not permitted to discuss the topic. We can say thanks, or maybe refer to someone. You have a question, that's on the agenda for response. How this is going to work is that each speaker gets 3 minutes max. When you're at about 2:30, I'll let you know. That way you can head if we need to. And I think everybody's here on the same topic, so there's only going to be 20 minutes per topic. The reason for that is that we just need to get out of the road. I just like to find a number of, because we have to speak. It's fine. There we go. Let's get started. Yeah, 3 minutes max. And what I'd invite you to do instead of coming forward, because we were proud of it here, go ahead and understand what you want to do, and you can come up with two on. Feel free to stay where you are, just speak out, and that's what everyone is very for everyone. And I'd like to invite up Jessica Lee.
I'm definitely, my daughter is and how do you use here's that the budget plan on the 31st. After the assembly, she sent me a text. I think they just kind of like a prior assembly. I'm not sure, but one of the presenters was talking about sexual. So I called the school and to see what was up, and I got some calls back. And Jason, I actually talked to a person, and he said, well, it was more about female love and acceptance. Okay. And so I got home and I talked to Addie a little more, and she showed me a video about how it was very detailed about her talking about being pansexual and how she was at a festival and discovered this. It's all topics that I didn't feel were very appropriate for school. So she also said that her husband likes to wear her dresses. It was all part of the home. And it's not sorry about vacation. But so I made a few calls back, and I got multiple responses back. Just mostly voicemails. We were playing phone tag a lot at school. They like it. But Jason's one of his voicemails said that they went off script. And so I was like, can I call on the video that I have been part of the phone? So it was a little concerned about that. A few days later, the apology letter came out, and I really appreciate that. I'm so glad it was addressed, and I appreciate it. But I do have lots more questions, which I don't ask because maybe I'll present things here, and I know you can't answer them. But it did leave me a lot of questions, and maybe I'll throw a few out there just so we can think about it. So why are we inviting adults about sexuality? And I just wanted to know who approved it and see if it was appropriate. And is it regularly discussed at school, and without parents? So my concern for the is the direction we're heading.
30 seconds.
Okay. It's a violation of trust for parents, and we should be inviting we shouldn't be inviting adults to our school to talk about sexuality. Our kids are under 18. It was consented by the student or the parents. And to me, I feel like that's almost it's nearing a form of sexual harassment. And so gay, straight, bi, all of those should be conversations.
Thank you. And
I apologize, I don't. I come support you today with both the parent and the community. I actually have 4 daughters that graduated from. And my youngest daughter is brand new. And I see so much harassment of that child because of his efforts and the only support sometimes was the teacher and the school and his friends around him in him coming to terms with the way he is, his choice. I've seen many comments on social media, mostly negative comments regarding LGBTQ plus and USD, the way they handle them and the issues surrounding that. And I find it really disturbing that people are up in arms saying that PUSD and the teachers are teaching or turning our children gay, et cetera, et cetera. I find that so disturbing because that's an ignorant thought process. You can't make a child or teach a child to be gay or any person to be gay, transgender, whatever their preference is. It's something inside them. It's something they can't help. It's something they can't change. It's the person they are, and they need to be allowed to be the persons that they are. I'm sorry people feel that way, but I personally want to thank PUSD and the teachers because I've seen it personally. Thank you for the support that you give these children. Thank you for allowing them to go to school, be the people that they are. Try and keep them from being bullied because of the people that they are. And sometimes that's the only support that they get. So thank you, and they need that support emotionally. And thank you for doing it.
Thank you. Keith Barnett.
Okay. Hello, everybody. What I was coming here to talk to you guys about earlier, they call the poetry experience first time, but from what I've seen on videos and talked to the kids and stuff, it was kind of hitting a little different, which, I mean, things happen, it is what it is. I understand the California school must provide, what they need to do for LGBTQ community and all that thing. I mean, everybody deserves to be loved and cared about and accepted and everything like that. I just feel after the way that was put out there, and then the way the kids came and they were told they couldn't leave and stuff like that, it was kind of hidden how it was addressed in the public and by the California Health and Youth Act's been in place since 2016. You guys are based with 2 assemblies a year you're supposed to do for middle class and high school or something of that nature. And if it's not, it's supposed to be completely descriptive of what is going to happen so that people have a chance to opt out if they don't want to. If they want to attend, that's awesome. If they don't, that's their own choice. I mean, some of the things I heard on the videos and some of the kids were telling me about between religious stuff and what happened in there, I just think the line was kind of crossed that Jeff was stating too. And I mean, when you guys have an assembly that is sexual education or sexually transmitted disease prevention, then the children are not allowed to opt out because that is a curriculum accepted by the state is what it is. But when it's not under a sexual education class that has the curriculum in there for what it just says for sexual education and STD prevention, then it's supposed to be clear what the actual agenda is on the advance or the presentation or whatnot. So then the parents have the chance to opt out. If they don't want to, that's their prerogative, whatever, however they raise that in their lives and stuff of that nature. But one thing I do think is the way the school system has been building and dividing by the way they kind of like, I'm not going to say give more attention to LGBTQ, it's just they give them a little bit more leniency and then they do other students because of what's going on in the world right now, which is sad. So I think what we should do, and this is just a suggestion, and you guys can take with a grain of salt, if you do the thing over, I don't mind. But we need to come up with a way to put these 2 different groups together instead of forcing the groups together. Because if you force them, then you know how it is, you're putting the kid to do something, they're not gonna get to do it, but they're gonna wanna do it. And if you're forcing people to stay away from stuff, I mean, it's just, let people make the decision, like start these and have an assembly and take some time to plan it, put it all together.
30 seconds, sir.
And let it happen, and then after it happens, take initiative and see what the horizon is, and what happened with that. More people wanna do it, then make it bigger and bigger, but it just seems like the way everything's done with the school district and with the LGBT community and everybody else, it's like one group and another group, we need to like combine that group. Gotcha.
Fine, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have a request to speak from someone here, but they didn't print their name.
That's me, I'm declining, I'm not gonna.
Okay, thank you. And I have a little bit of a hard time with the name here. I think it's Ryan.
Ryan Nielsen.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it. My daughters, my oldest Magali and my youngest Miley both go to Quincy High School. And I'm here just to share a couple of concerns also about the poetry slam. Not so much about the fact that they had it, but the fact of how it was handled. And how the subject matter was treated. One of my concerns was that we as parents did not get any information about it in advance. So we didn't have even the knowledge of what the content was going to be, what it was going to be about. Secondly, that it was, even as an assembly, it was communicated as a required assembly, that they were not able to opt out or leave, even, you know, at the beginning of it, or even in the middle of it, if they were uncomfortable with the material, the information, they were not able to leave at all. And so there was a restriction on that. There was communication that I read and that I heard that some of the speakers shared information that wasn't aware ahead of time that they were going to share. It would have been helpful as well if the poems or whatever they shared was made available to us after the fact. So us as parents could have the opportunity to read what they shared and even discuss it with our children, or just even have the knowledge. You know, my daughters don't have cell phones, so they didn't have any of it recorded. And so I didn't actually get to see firsthand any of it, or secondhand via recording. And so my concern is really more about the way in which this was handled, and it has already been stated that my understanding, if it has something to do, not with the direct curriculum, and even the direct curriculum that the district has about sexual education, STDs and all that, a paper goes home for parents to sign that, I give my permission for my child to participate, or I want to opt my child out. So we as parents did not have an opportunity to even opt our children out of this or discuss it or anything like that. So my concern is not so much that it happened as much as the way it was handled ahead of time, and during the actual event. And that's what I'd like to see change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I say one thing? Change my mind?
Please.
I have concerns with the GSA club and the Plymouth Youth Divided at the school, undivided. I think they're held during lunchtime. GSA is held during lunchtime. So any kid can walk in there. I mean, why can they not hold it after school? Because any kid can go in there and his parents has no idea what's going on. And then the next thing you know, the kid's deciding he wants some kind of, so he wants to be gay or something. Those clubs are not good. All over the United States, the GSA clubs are taking kids and they're using them to turn kids into LGBTQ or whatever. It shouldn't be held during the school hours. So it should be after school so the parents know if their kids are attending or not. Because it'll suck in kids that don't need to be sucked in. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible you can provide your name?
Mary Sims.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Kendra?
My name is Kendra Frederickson. I am one of the founders of the Plumas County Gay Straight Alliance and also the pastor of the Lutheran Church in town. And I am here mostly because of what happened after this event, and that was the negative comments on Facebook. And I really want to speak in favor of those who want to express themselves in whichever identity they have. And let me just start by saying this. So I was raised in a very conservative church. I was taught that, LGBTQ and that is gay or queer or whatever was wrong. My mind got changed over the years by having conversations with those individuals who their entire lives were trying to live in a way that made them straight and they couldn't do it. I have heard dozens and dozens of stories of people who were told you can't be straight or you can't be gay, you have to be straight, and they tried to live those lives to their own personal detriment. And having open conversations about this is the best way for the entire community to learn to get along. You want to put the two groups together, we've got to have those conversations. We've got to not be afraid to hear what somebody else's views are or what their experience is. We've got to learn to listen with compassion and love and know that these are people just trying to get through the day. People don't decide suddenly, oh, I want to be gay. That's not how it works. Just because you hear about other people's experiences does not make you change your mind. But think about when you first had a crush on somebody as a kid. I mean, who you have a crush on is who you have a crush on. If somebody saying, oh, it shouldn't be that person, it should be this person, isn't going to change how you feel inside. I just want to say I'm glad that PUST had this particular assembly. I'm sorry it wasn't communicated to the parents like maybe it should have been. But I think more conversations is what needs to happen. Instead of shutting people down and telling them it's wrong to talk about these things, we need to open up the conversation. Kids, when they're younger than 12, okay, so here's the thing. I used to be the CASA program manager and I've got a foster child. Kids know about sexuality from a much younger age than a lot of people like to think. And if they're not learning it from their parents at home, they're gonna find it out there somewhere. You can cut off all their technology and they're still gonna learn about it from their friends. So we need to have these conversations starting at a young enough age
30 seconds.
that they're not afraid to have those conversations. So again, I encourage the schools to continue to have these conversations. Go ahead, get the notification out to the parents ahead of time so they know what's going on. But let's not be afraid to listen to people who have gone through this themselves and had to suffer bullying, harassment, and so many other horrible things. I mean, the Facebook posts, again, were horrible. Some of the negative stuff that was on there, I cried for the poor kids that have to live in this community.
Sorry, that's 3 minutes. Thank you. That's also 20 minutes on that topic. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak on anything else, different topic, now would be the time to do that. Right, there being nothing else, thank you very much and taking your time tonight. And Mr. Superintendent, you want to introduce what's next?
Rachel Brothers is going to speak with us about the Universal Preschool Mixed Delivery Plan. So the floor is yours.
Hi, hello, I'm Rachel Brothers. I'm the Plumas County Office of Education and Early Education Coordinator. Part of that role is being the Plumas Early Education and Child Care Council Coordinator. So that is a lot. Basically, that means I'm the local planning council coordinator. That's similar to the call it throughout the state of California. Tonight I'll be presenting on the UPK Mixed Delivery Grant and its associated plans. And as a point of reference for the audience, UPK stands for Universal Pre-Kindergarten. This plan has been created to meet the requirements of the UPK Mixed Delivery Grant from the California Department of Education and must be presented to the school board by June 30th of this year, 23. CDE offered these grants to either the local child care planning councils and the child care resource referrals. That's also known as the R&R, child care resource referral. Here in Plumas County, the R&R contract is at Plumas Rural Services. And they generally help childcare providers become licensed and give referrals, childcare referrals to parents. List. In Plumas County, locally, our LPC and R&R agreed to have the LPC apply for this contract. The grant total is not large, but it's 58,713. And the end of the grant cycle is June of 26. The majority of the budget will go to annual subcontract with R&R support planning. The grant was released in mid-April for a 22-23 cycle. And so we had two work groups that met in late May, and the plan was created in June. And as a consequence of the timing of its release, prevented LPC from approving this plan prior to presentation today. The plan will be brought to the LPC at their next meeting in September. The plan was reviewed earlier this month by the local Quality Child Care Consortium. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Plumas Star. They support every childcare provider, every type of provider, and increasing quality, which benefits our students when they enter at TK or above. Think of this as an evolving plan. There was no template, so this is what we came up with. The LPC will continue to work with interested VPK work group participants over the next few years on planning to support VPK implementation in Plumas County. To further clarify, the term VPK is the term that CBE is using to describe all of the care settings that 3 and 4-year-olds have access to. So this can be family friend neighbor care. I think probably about 75% of children entering TK or K have been in a setting where they have been family friend or neighbor. A few of them are also simultaneously in licensed care. So it can be family friend neighbor, licensed family child care, licensed child care settings, Head Start, state preschool, and TK. So these are all the options locally we have for 3 and 4-year-olds. So for the purposes of grant, CD is asking the counties to plan for expansion of VPK options that they have classified as early learning. So if you refer to this picture, it's the second image in the document. This is what they're asking that grant to work on expanding. Additionally, the grant asks for grantees to plan for increasing inclusion of children with exceptional needs in all UPK settings, planning for workforce development, and providing outreach services and enrollment support to meet the needs of families. Well, since Plumas County is rural and our child care efforts are always inclusive of all provider types, we approached this plan holistically and included private centers and family child care homes in our plan. So we included the column in the orange as well, because it should be noted that 36% of formal care settings where 3 and 4-year-olds in Plumas County are in family child care homes. And I think I forgot to give you the other statistic that 40% of formal care options for 3 and 4-year-olds are considered in educational settings. So 40% of the settings are in this far left dark blue, and 36% are actually just in family child care. I think it would probably be higher if we included the centers we have. So a quick overview of some of the high points for the plan are to increase infant toddler options, which has always been a need in Plumas County. This would include increasing family child care homes and potentially opening or helping or assisting with planning FRC's Child Development Center to have an infant toddler classroom. FRC also noted that they need to expand their state preschool slots, so we'll be looking at some options for that. And additionally, we'll be focusing on full day wrap care for 3 and 4-year-olds. TK's part day, so we want to make sure that families are getting their needs met if they need care. Also, UPK marketing messages will be needed to ensure families of UPK age children understand their care options. It was noted by a few family child providers in the work group that some families, I'm going to say a lot, some families were unaware that TK was optional. So what we'll do is just provide kind of an option by community and And that's pretty much it. It should be noted that this is strictly a planning grant and no funds may be spent on implementation, but luckily we have other funding sources to help us implement the goals listed in the plan. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
With family childcare, then, are you actually like training people to become family home providers, or where would that, is that part of the planning process to figure
So
out
that would
how to
be,
best support? That?
that's why I think the biggest portion is going towards the R&R. Because that's work that they do. So this would be planning for increasing family child care or marketing or those kinds of things. What we noted a lot of providers saying is if a lot of more families are choosing TK, so the family child providers were a little concerned that they would be having to take younger and younger children, which would help with infant toddler, but it's not their preference in what they want to do with their life, right, and their business. The other issue that was resolved by community care licensing was that they were classifying a TK child as a preschooler. So if the child went to TK and then came to their family child care in the afternoon, it would count against their preschool ratio. They can only have 6, they can have 2 school-age children. But CCL said that if they're enrolled in TK, they can be counted. So that is going to help the family child care providers with the ratios. So those kinds of things is what we're going to be keeping track of. Just seeing how this expansion of TK is affecting the child care system and listening to those providers and then making plans to address those concerns.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And now we have next is the local control and accountability plan for 2023. Christine Wong.
Yes, tonight we have the LCAP for approval. First, we really want to thank Rachel Brothers for the work she does with our early learners. It's really a phenomenal job, a great job, Rachel. Legal, compliant, and and with our LCAP, I really do want to highlight the work of Mallory Wren and her team in fiscal to work with her on our LCAP. You know, we do work collectively like this. So great to Mel and to your team. I know it's a big lift to get to this point, and so it is for approval for you tonight. You did have it as information last week, and you have a final draft here today. From here, know that we do submit to CDE, and they generally provide us feedback and often have a couple changes in August, September timeline based on their feedback. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer those.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the SELPA annual budget and service plan for 2023. I suppose is there a hearing involved? Yes.
There will be.
Okay.
Good evening. So every year the CDE requires that all SELPAs update their annual plan. So in your agenda, you have the attachments for the local budget and service plan. There's not a ton of notable changes from last year, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, this is now the time and place for the public hearing on this matter. We'll open the hearing. Folks are welcome to comment. No, there be no comment or feedback. We'll close the public hearing. And you're looking for approval, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And so we took care of all that. So next is fiscal, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. This for the PCOE budget with Mallory.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. At this time, I am requesting that you move to approve our proposed adopted budget for the 23-24 school year for the Plymouth County Office of Education.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Any further comments? And there was a hearing last week on this matter. So public hearing. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay. Motion and the budget carries, and then we have the PUSD budget.
Once again, at this time, I'm asking for you to move to approve the proposed adopted budget for 23-24 for Plymouth Union High School District.
Second.
Any further discussion on this? Again, we had, I believe, a hearing on this last week. So we're good to go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, the motion carries. And next is a POC minimum reserve level.
And this is an action item, right?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I ask for
So
information only. Okay, so at this time, I present to you the document from our 22-23 estimated actuals. Moving forward into the 23-24 year of where we're landing with that minimum reserve. At this time, you can see at the bottom our reserve requirement, all formulated from our SACS software and revenue and ending fund balances.
That's for information only.
That's for information only.
Okay, great, thank you. And now we have the consolidated application and reporting system.
Great, okay. Let's see, and this is action.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I ask that you move to approve both PCOE CARS applications and PUSD CARS applications. This is for the ability for us to receive our federal funds. At this time, the state is a little behind in the actual application, so I presented to you with what I have certified already to them. And once the application opens, hopefully in about 2-3 weeks or so, then we can bring that back for more review.
So can we approve before?
All we're asking to do is just, you're approving the certifications. If you open the attachment, it shows that we've certified with the state. So that we basically met our time, what you're approving is we've met our timeline. They're late, but they've adjusted a lot of things. So we're approving everything we can approve at this point in time.
Thank you.
So we might see this again.
You will see this again. There will be the application will come through and it will be an approval.
Do you want these separate?
Oh, sure, yes,
Yes,
please, at
please.
this time.
Okay, so I'll move to approve the PCOE CARS application as presented tonight.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'll move to approve the Plymouth Unified School District CARS application as presented.
I'll second. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carry, pass. We're complete with that. Facilities report. Let's talk about Measure B project updates.
Okay, so for Measure B, we have one item. We had a bid opening today at 1 o'clock in regards to completing the roofing at Chester L. It is this project that needs to be done. We had 2 bids. We bid this as basically labor, and then the material package is coming straight from the Garland company, so it's consistent with what we're putting on. So we basically told them you have to use this material package. We had 2 bids. One came in $250,000 less than the other. So we will be awarding bid on that to United Building. We will eat up our cushion that we had left at CES, and then we'll have to look at different ways to make up the rest of that fund. And we've been told we can use ELOC funds for roofing because it's energy efficiency for summer programs.
Where are they coming out of?
Where
Never heard of that company. I'm just curious.
I believe they're out of Sacramento. Is what Sherry told me. I don't have. Let's look. I might be wrong.
That's crazy that it's, the difference in those bids is 1/3 of the amount of the winning bid
It is,
or the higher bid.
and
actually.
the
So-
higher,
And it's with the same materials.
same materials, and the higher bid is the company that is actually on the job right now that CRM hired.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Chico, they're from Chico, sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So how much of this is then Measure B is the majority Measure B and then?
If I give you a ballpark, it's gonna be about $400,000 would be Measure B.
And that'll
That's
max-
already embedded in that project.
That's budgeted for that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to come up with a little bit more, but there's a huge expense just mobilizing these companies and getting them up here. So they're gonna mobilize, we want to try to finish this right now. And they're 6 weeks until they get the materials. So we will award and let them do their prep work, because a lot of the, with this roofing they use, most of the noise comes with the demo. Especially the way that it's attached up there.
What percent of the school are we re-roofing?
This will re-roof the entirety of CES.
Okay.
So it will then be done with fireproof metal roof.
And wings and all, not just the main.
Yeah, this is the only thing that doesn't include portals.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is for the rest of the project. So what we approved about 6 months ago was the new structure, the front, the first wing, and the multi-use room. And so this does everything else. And I think there's 2 other wings.
2 wings.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have, and no, so one is the bid and then one is the materials. Yeah. So yeah, it's the Measure B project request as presented. So $410,000 and change to United Building Contractor, and then 300 change to the garment company for materials.
So we have a first and a second, is that right?
Yeah.
First. Second.
Before we vote, any opinion about the discrepancy in the bids?
Our previous project manager did not always do the best job in finding us the most economical contractor. They have to build this to code, and my reassurance has come with the product that we are getting. It is top shelf.
Okay.
So that's, we've talked about that extensively.
Fair answer, okay. Okay. So, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No, carries. What's next on here?
General fund projects.
We have none. Moving on to 11.
Okay.
All right,
So
so
I think you want to speak for a few minutes.
I'm gonna speak for a few minutes. Part of this is just an update of the first year, but also part of it is statutory requirement for me as county superintendent. So it's that 10% of my job that I have to do. I have to give an update. And so we're just doing we're gonna talk a little bit about what the year's been like. And then when we talk about at the end, the last 7 or 8 slides of where we're going, consider those goals as what we are going to really be working to get traction on for the upcoming school year. So what a year it's been. Been a handful. We had extreme heat in the summer, caused us to have some minimum days, extreme winter weather. We had 8 snow days were recorded. We had flood warning days in Portola. And they just released that an El Nino is forming in the Pacific, and early forecasts are now calling for a similar winter again. This picture is from when I was at the playoff football game. And I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. That's in mid-November. That was the first round game. There were still 2 more weeks after that, and it took Diggett 2 days to clear the field. So it's been a year, but I had a great team, and they never realized how good I was at forecasting weather. Because some of the conversations were, you're crazy, and by 11 o'clock, they were like, wow, you were right on the money. So next slide. So why not have some change and turnover in my first year? So Mallory came on, she replaced Lisa Cabin as our chief business official. Megan came on, replaced Scott Corey as our human resources supervisor. Jessica Stone came on, replaced Kevin Bean, self-and sped coordinator. Melissa Lill is joining us. She's starting as our community resources director. Those 2 jobs were under Kevin Bean prior. And so I want to make a note about those 4 positions right there. Those are most of my right-hand people. The one that's not on there that is tried and true and consistent is this one. And Christy was an absolute rock star this year, helping me learn the ropes, develop relationships. She's been here a long time. She knows what skeletons are buried. She knows the history. And I just really appreciate Christy and her work this year. You know, she is, to use a football term, she is all gas and no brakes. She goes. And so I really appreciate that from her. I had an actual line on there and she had editing rights. That's okay. She doesn't go far with me. And then now we're bringing it on. So we have Jordan Blanton coming on, principal at QAS Alder. Kevin Cooper, principal at QAS Pioneer. Our officers moving out to our largest elementary school in the district, Searoy Carmichael. And we have Nikki Rodriguez coming on board to replace Jennifer Brockman as the Greenville schools. That'll be coming to you in July because we didn't have time to get it on this agenda. And Nikki's a good choice out there. She is born and raised, and she's a community member. And I'm looking forward to her helping us out there. And then we brought on Alan Coots as an IT engineer. And this is very important because, you know, that job was held by various people in this cabinet over the last years. And when you look at how dependent our school district is on technology, we needed to do this. We have Alan 2.5 days a week, and then we're in a partnership with Orville Union High School District where he's the other 2.5. So, and he gets the full job done in his 2.5 days. So it's a bargain that we get him at half price. By the way, Mallory, make sure you build it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Next slide. Challenging numbers. And these are our attendance numbers for the year. 60.7% of our students are considered chronically absent. And that's students that miss 10% of the school day of the school days in a year. What we did find out though is, you know, chronic absenteeism, we know counts all absences. So this doesn't include the 8 snow days. So we, Michael and Christy's department crunched numbers for about 8 hours and figured out the math. So our actual chronic absenteeism rate is 38%, which is still very high. It's very concerning. Because you'll look at a couple of ways. One, we have proven when our kids come to school, our program is supremely effective. We need them here. But we've had families that are convinced that through COVID, our kids got educated, but we don't have to come to school. So we need to really work on that trend. We're doing it through SAR. We're going to be doing it through messaging and really campaigning to have kids come. So really, we're out of COVID, so they need to come to school. All right. So so without numbers, it's, you know, we're about 38%. So we need to work on that. Challenging behaviors. Now this chart represents resolutions. So when you look at the big one, those are conferencing with the student, talking with the student. You know, not everything has to be a suspension. The next tallest one is detention. And then we have 153 suspensions district-wide. That's actually not too bad of a number. When you look at, because all the other numbers on either side, they basically, there's a different suspension form. So you have roughly 220. Everything else are interventions done that don't take kids out of school. And that is what the state is really pushing for. We need kids on campus. We don't need them at home. So we work through. And people say, oh, you're letting kids get away with things. No, what we're trying to do through our multi-tiered system of support is to address the issue and correct why the behavior happened. Yes, we're still teaching kids that they have consequences. However, we don't go straight to removing them from the school setting. There are certain instances that happens, but right now, you know, statewide, everyone, that's the push. But there was questions from earlier in the year. What are our SSCs doing? You know, our student services coordinators on campus. They're averaging 375 student contacts per quarter as interventions, redirections, or first line of services for kids to help prevent them from getting to that suspension and to get to the root. And we had some very big issues in this district this year that we're not going to rehash here today, but they were discovered through contact with an SSC. So we're working on making sure our folks have the training they need to be effective in the position and to be more effective in their positions. But they're very valuable in what we're trying to do to address these post-COVID behaviors. Next slide. So these are 21-22 ELA and math scores. Truthfully, what we see this year will be our baseline as we've been working through the effects of Dixie Fire and COVID. A lot of our kids have 3 very disruptive years. And so we're going to talk more about ELA and math when we get back in August. And we'll be doing some comparative work, and we're looking at it district-wide. We'll be having individual conversations with other school sites, but we're seeing some trends, but we always want to look at things district-wide, so we're not staying above the line. All right. So where are we now fiscally? So all public school budgets in Plumas County can meet all of their commitments and requirements for the next 3 years out, and that's PCS included. Challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic has been declared over, and so too have the giant truckloads of money that came along with it. It was all one-time funding. And this is an issue both district and statewide. We did a pretty good job. We're evaluating our budget or our personnel and our staffing right now to what we still have that are funded from one-time funds, and then see what can we move to Title I. But we're in a lot better shape. There are some districts in the cities who, by their own admission, they're getting ready to fall off a fiscal cliff because they were getting $100 million. And now they're not. And Mallory is so eloquent in saying we don't use one-time funds to pay for anything with a heartbeat. Because if not, you end up in this situation. So we're working to, we're in a good spot and moving forward. So we're currently right sizing within PUSD with the source of funding being eliminated. And that's multiple sources. And right sizing doesn't mean layoffs, but we are carefully evaluating every position that opens up and making sure it's something we need to rehire and we have the funding for. So we're being fiscally responsible. Charter enrollment. I just wanted to give you an update on this because part of this is an update on schools within the county. So Quincy campus has 118 K-8, high school campus has 83. For Quincy, for PCF and Quincy, their school out in Chester has 55 total. In Indian Valley, we've just verified our numbers. So 7 through 12 is 67, K through 6 is 25. And then we have Long Valley Charter, who's based in Lassen County, but operates campus in Portola, and they currently have 72 students. And we're looking to grant them operational status in Portola. I've asked them to put a cap because their cap is much higher than that. And we want this to be an option, but we also need to look at the finances within the county, and they are going to take to their board in August a cap of 75. And I told them, thank you for that, and we will provide them their letter. They have another year on their charter to be able to operate, but she's being proactive, and I think that's a fair compromise. Next slide. So where are we headed? Your academic achievement. We're continuing the PLC work that was started last year. Another 22 teachers and administrators went to Sacramento for the PLC conference. 3 big ideas: learning, collaboration, results. And then 4 critical questions that we're really going to be drilling down on folks and working with our principals and our teacher leaders. What do we want all students to learn? How will we know if each student has learned it? How will we respond when some students do not learn it? And how will we extend the learning for students who have shown proficiency? And that one's number 4 is just as important as 3, because sometimes we focus on, oh, we have to go back and reteach and remediate, and the kids who have gotten it tread water. So this is a really good foundation for us to be building on and moving forward. Next slide. So we have our more on academic achievement. We have our district high fives. And we have a new one, which is at the top, and it's increased by 5% the number of students proficient in reading by 3rd grade. And we have baseline numbers. I'm not going to say by school who's what, but as a district right now, 50% of our 3rd graders read at grade level. So this is a great focus to have. And the reason why is students that don't read at grade level in 3rd grade, the statistics of not graduating from high school, being expelled, being incarcerated are alarming. And this is the metric that they tie it to. State's going to be looking at this as well, so we figure we're going to get ahead of the game and start working on that. Decreased by 5% the number of chronic student absences. We've got a couple of years to get 5% pretty easily. After looking at those numbers, we're going to increase by 5% cap achievement for meeting standards and exceeding standards. Increase by 5% the number of students completing AG requirements each year, and increase by 5% the number of students achieving grade 3 or higher in core classes. And if we can do the bottom, that's the 4th one will grow very quickly because you have to have a C or better in your A to G from the count. So the 4 are the same, and district-wide high fives are a great idea. It's just, the little thing called COVID, and then the Dixie fire just really blew up what everything was trying to accomplish here. So we're looking, basically we're going to start that cycle again in the fall. Next. Where we're headed, mission, vision, and goals. We've gathered information throughout the winter and spring in regards to the mission, vision, and goals of the district. We'll use this information to identify our strengths. It's a way to capitalize and continue growth in those areas. We will work here at the end of the summer to get a draft together with the board, myself, cabinet, and our school principals. So everybody is on board. Then we'll release the draft in the fall for staff and community input, with hopefully a final draft to bring on board around the turn of the year. To update, not saying everything's going to change, but we're really going to focus on the positives and what we do well as a district. Academic achievement learning loss. We're going to double down on the following areas. And what I mean is we're not changing what we're doing. Because if we dedicate and we implement the use of iReady with fidelity district-wide, K-8, and maybe even extend that to 9th grade, as well as other tier 1 interventions to our MTSS model, we will start to address academic loss. From, for our kids, it was basically 3 years of disruption, not 2 from COVID. And then continue with our SEL support alongside accountability through the application of our multi-tiered system of support model and high standards and expectations for students in the classroom and staff applying a multitude of tier 1 interventions as outlined in our MTSS plan. So many of the tier 1 supports for our struggling students should be done right there in the classroom with the teacher as that primary point of contact. So we're really going to work on that. Thanks. Where we're headed, human resources. We're going to continue to be aggressive in recruiting the highest quality staff. We had cabinet today. We are super pleased at where we are with our staffing compared to we were this time last year. Still have some openings, but not a lot. I think certificated, the number's 5 or 6 total across the district. And we have some schools that are completely 100% staffed, and we're very happy about that. We're going to continue to develop ways to make PCOE and PUSD the desired destination of employment in Plymouth County, as well as the region. Sorry, SBI. We're working hard at that. We're going to continue to hold high expectations for all that serve the students, schools, and families of Plymouth County. And we're going to continue to automate and streamline our processes for accuracy and timeliness in how we work with our employees. Where we headed fiscal, we're in a pretty good spot, but we will continue to work to right size our district schools, because when we right size, that addresses what we were talking about the previous slide. If we're overstaffed and we overspend there, then we don't have money for compensation. And so we have to find the balance of right sizing, offering programs to kids, and being able to compensate our teachers. And it's very fluid. we'll say that. We're gonna maximize district resources through fiscal education training, modernization in the process, and we're changing some operational procedures. So we have a better way of monitoring the spending throughout the year. And we'll continue to evaluate and develop our resource allocation practices and operations. Next. Oh, hold on, go back one. Oh, okay, our maintenance projects for the summer. Still the plan is we should have all Measure B projects that we are currently engaged in wrapped up, completed by July 31st. Then DSA sign off will fall. That'll take a couple months, just because it's DSA. We have projects all over the county this summer and solar projects with ABM. They are currently boring under all the campuses. They're going to have to trench at Chester because it's built on
The volcano.
the rock. No, the volcanic rock that's in the subsurface. So they're only able to trench about 30 feet. And then the bore is collapsing. So they're gonna have to cut through and fix that. But all the conduit is in at Greenville, and they were started at Chester today. So we will have solar projects at all campuses, which will help with our utility bills. Asbestos abatement is ongoing, new flooring in QES and CEF sites. Testing so far is all coming back as a thumbs up. Teachers, all that work should be done by the end of tomorrow or the next day. Softball concession restoration at Greenville Junior Senior is in the hands of the architects right now. They're finalizing some things. I mean, we picked out colors. So we're working on that. We just got word that, I can't say it's publicly yet, so. We're good. But we're doing some work out there. That field should be playable next spring for the kiddos. Softball concession, okay, did that. Roofing at CES, we just talked about. I should say, that was a mistake. So 2 new portables are at Searoy Carmichael. Those of you approved that purchase last 2 months ago, those are in production. We talked with the architect yesterday, Ray and I. We're hoping all the planning will be done about the time those things are ready to hit the ground. So that's moving forward. We moved the tower, the temporary internet tower at Greenville, got moved yesterday. So it's now not on the playground next to our school buildings. That will really help with parents out there. And then they're going to clean up that playground area that was there, and they're going to get that slurry sealed like the rest of it. So that'll be great for the elementary. Electrical distribution for room mounted AC at Greenville Health. Shane Branch is currently out there. They're distributing the electrical so we don't pop breakers. And then we're going to put in really nice, high quality window mount units, because you have to look at is the juice worth the squeeze, and spending $1 million to have AC for what we're probably going to need 2 weeks a year. And that's not a good use of our jelly beans. And I talked to the staff about that, and they're tickled to death. So we're going to look at it, see how it works, and then we'll come back next summer and probably finish up Chester Elk, because it's about halfway done. And then we'll move up into Quincy 2 years out and do these 2 schools, and CRC is already done. Because they're all portable, so they have AC. Softball field at Chester Junior Senior is out to bid. Sounds like we have a 2 local contractors that are going to partner up into their specialties and do it. And I think we're going to get a pretty good deal. It'll be hydro-seeded, not sodded. So it's a way to save money. And that new field should be playable next spring, as long as it's not under this much snow. And then we also had some community concerns. We went out and evaluated the tennis courts at Quincy Junior Senior. And there's cracks, but they're along the sides of the court. And so we've got companies that come in and seal them at the end of summer so the heat doesn't expand, and should preserve them. And because I don't want to tear those courts up. Because they'll tell us the cracks are a result of the subsurface being unstable, and so then you have to tear everything off, recompact the whole thing, blacktop the whole thing, and then with the surface on top, and the surface itself is about 200 grand. So, you know, redo those 4 tennis courts is probably 600,000 or 700,000. So we're gonna Band-Aid that thing.
We just did it twice. We've done it twice already.
Yep, and we're gonna keep doing it. As long as the cracks stay off on the sides, we're good.
We used to have a tennis team go out and see what the
Yeah,
tracks are.
we're gonna have the company come in. And they'll fill the crack and then.
But those
Go
people
ahead.
work there.
So now last one. Thank you. Questions? Where we're going, that was a lot. But you know, for me, just super thankful for this team. We worked through a lot of tough times this year and 3 of them are growing into their jobs every day. And I know Christy and I are super pleased with their progress and just the way they're taking on the challenges and the frustration, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And a little bit myself too. And so we don't get too excited and we just work through it.
Can you explain a little bit about the position that Missy's taking? I understand that Kevin was doing.
Kevin was doing a lot.
Okay.
So Missy we have a ton of programs that although the funding is grant funded, it's grant funded for 3 or 4 more years. And it's working with behavioral health, developing behavioral health plans. Basically everything that doing with the grant, we just got awarded an $800,000 grant over the next 3 years to work with Feather River College on developing pathways. She's gonna be working part of that. Rachel Molsey's gonna be working part of that. She's going to be in charge of attendance and STAR and discipline. So we can really have someone focused on these processes and school attendance. And then one thing we didn't realize she was gonna do, because when we hired her, we didn't know we were gonna need this. She is an excellent source to be a mentor for 3 brand new principals at the elementary school level. And Missy's brand of being a school administrator, that carries. And it carries outside of the Portola community. And so she's gonna be a very good source for these folks to work with here at both elementaries and campuses in Quincy, as well as Nikki out in Greenville. So she's got more than a full-time job. Anything else? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And that's as fast as I can talk, y'all.
Doesn't look like there's any service contracts, is that wrong? Am I right or wrong?
There's no.
We did everything last week.
Okay.
We just left it on in case something.
Yep. All right, so we are going to adjourn to closed session.
Yep.
And you want to come out and finish up? All right.